what babushkas were saying, that as long as everybody's healthy, everything is okay. So, you know, stay healthy. Second, thank you so much for making the time to be here, because we hear a lot, oh, now everybody has so much time, and that's a total myth. We don't have more time. A lot of us have less time. So thank you for making this time. Third, thank you so much to Alia Bitel in particular and COJECO in general for making this happen, for this forum. So here we go. This is what we're going to talk about today. We will talk about intuition, what it is, what it isn't, some myths about intuition, some of what practitioners know, some of what academics know about intuition, and we'll talk about a way of practicing intuition, how you can strengthen your own intuition. I'm used to working with analytical thinkers who like the facts and the spreadsheets and the charts and the evidence. So whatever questions you have, skeptical, analytical, I would love all of your questions. Feel free to ask anytime. So if you have a burning question, just send a message. We'll go with this. So to start with, can you all please think of something that you would like to see happen in your life? And by the way, I'm not making promises that it will happen, but it would be good to have something that we can work with so you can test your intuition on. So if you can think of your wish in the present positive, for example, I am well compensated for doing the work that I love, and it needs to be about you. It needs to be something that you feel strongly about, or I feel secure in my relationship, or I am financially independent. Whatever it is that's on your mind, think of it, write it down. Or for example, if there is a particular challenge that you're facing, what I'd like for you to do is to reframe this challenge in terms of a positive outcome. And you might not know exactly how things will turn out, but what would make you feel good? So instead of, oh my God, how am I going to solve such and such crisis? What would you like to see happen if or when this crisis is resolved? What is the outcome you would like to see happen? So that's going to be our starting point. What is intuition? Intuition, I would like for you to think of intuition as a tool. Well, intuiting is a tool for getting additional information, and intuition is additional information. It's not the answer. It's not the truth. It's not, oh, you know, now I know, you know, it's simply additional information. Now, learning to intuit is learning to sense the difference. So if you taste one thing and you taste another thing, can you sense the difference? So it's about getting information through sensory channels. So to make it more concrete, let's maybe experiment with something. Notice what it's like for you to sit wherever it is you're sitting right now. Just don't go into meditative state. Don't go Zen. Just kind of, you know, notice where you are. Notice if you're comfortable. Notice if you're tired. Notice if you're excited. Notice if you're hungry. Notice if just like what it's like to be you in your body in the space where you are now. Notice where your heart is. Notice where your brain is. Notice where your palms are without touching anything. Okay, so this is your baseline normal for the situation that you're in right now. And you know what, let me put it in gallery view so I can see more of your face. Oh, this is so much more exciting. Okay, so this is your baseline normal. Remember how I said intuition is about learning to sense the difference? So I would like for you to experiment with something. You know that wish that you wrote down? Imagine, so when I say imagine, then you kind of think things out, right? So start by imagining, but then embody. Embody is experience with all of your senses that wish it has either come true or it's about to come true. You're about to tell me, hey, you know what? This thing is happening to me. It's happening to me right now. And remember how we had that class and we talked about this as something I want. It's happening, right? So can you embody this for a second? Like embody your wish with all of your senses. Let me backtrack for a second. Do you understand when I say embody, does it make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, okay. So if you have questions, you can type or unmute or whatever. So, so I would like for you to sit in your chair or on your couch or whatever as the person who has that wish materialized already. And what I'd like for you to do is to notice the difference. Remember what was your baseline normal when you're just like sitting in wherever you were sitting before, right? And now you're the person to whom that thing that you want, it's happening to you. And just notice how it's different to sit where you are with that wish already there. So I know this is a little bit tricky, especially for analytical thinkers. And I get a lot of this question. What do you mean embody? What do you mean experience with all of your senses? What do you mean extend your senses in space and time? There is no way to talk through it. And the only way is to do it and get some feedback and to do it again. It's like riding a bike. You can't learn to ride a bike theoretically. You can't learn to swim theoretically. I mean, you can, but you're not going to be able to swim. So intuition is kind of the same thing. So intuition is basically a tool for getting through uncertainty. It's a sensory-based tool. It's about using all of your senses. It's experiencing, and it's about practicing, and the more you practice, the better you get. All right. So intuition is also knowing something without knowing how you know it. Okay, should we talk about what intuition isn't? Just not, maybe not. Okay, so intuition is not certainty, because sometimes I see people write about intuition. Well, intuition is a way of getting to the truth. So your sense of certainty has nothing to do with what is or what isn't. A sense of certainty is actually like it's a state of mind, and you can be sure, oh, you know I put the book here and it's not here. So your sense of certainty has nothing to do with the truth. So intuition, it's one of the characteristics of intuition. It does have an intrinsic sense of certainty. It doesn't mean that it's true. So is intuition your sixth sense? What do you think? Just kind of nod, yes, no. Is it your sixth sense? No, okay. So I see more no's. Intuition is your third, what? Svetlana? So, all right, who knows? All right, so actually, if you went to school, okay, we're not gonna say how many years ago, but some time ago, we were taught that we have 5 senses, right? So what are the 5 senses? The sight, smell, taste, touch, right? The basics. And intuition, it's the 6th sense. So not really. First of all, we have a lot more senses than the 5 senses. Like, for example, your sense of balance, right? Or your sense of like, can you tell the temperature in the room right now without touching anything, without looking at something, right? Can you tell if your chair is balanced, is leveled, right? So you have that. You have a sense of pride, right? So we have a lot of different senses. So intuition is not a 6th sense, but intuition is an extension of all of your senses. What about, okay, this one is a tricky one. Intuition is your gut feeling. Yes, no, maybe. Maybe. Okay, so that one is a little bit closer. We do have a lot of nerve endings in our gut, and we do, like, there is some research coming out about the gut bacteria that affects the way you feel. And so there is some truth to it, but really intuition is in all of your body. It's in all of you. So some of you will feel intuition in the pit of your stomach. Some of you will feel intuition in your face, like your cheeks will go cold or go hot, or we all feel different, also different types of intuitions in different circumstances. We can feel it differently. So that's what intuition is. What intuition isn't. Is intuition the same as your fear? No. So fear rattles you. Fear makes you spin stories. Fear makes you run. Intuition is simply information. So if you can look at the spreadsheet, right? You don't get scared when you look at the spreadsheet. You look at the spreadsheet, you see the data, you understand. So intuition, it works in a similar way. You simply receive information through your senses. Like, for example, you're sitting on a bench, right? And you have a feeling that you need to get up and move on. So you don't have this fear, oh my God, something's going to happen, but you just have this like impulse. I need to get up and move on. And then it turns out that like somewhere far off, there is a guy with a huge dog, and let's say you're allergic to dogs, or you're terrified of dogs. So your body picked up information that you may not have processed. And it's like, if you saw the dog, then you may have, maybe you would experience the fear. You'd say, oh my God, there is a dog, I have to run. But intuition is just like this impulse, like, I need to do something. Your body picked up on information, which also, it doesn't mean that you need to get up and do it, but you simply received information. The information is, you know, get up and walk away. You may or may not act upon it. Is intuition thinking fast? Yes, no, what do you think? No, okay. Some say yes, some say no. So Daniel Kahneman popularized intuition as thinking fast, and he really did a disservice to intuition on that. And in later interviews, he admitted that, well, okay, there's more to intuition than that, but that's a sidebar. So intuition is not just thinking fast. Yes, intuition is fast because we process it very, very quickly. We often process it non-verbally, but it's not about thinking fast. So it's about feeling and experiencing. And yes, it happens fast. And sometimes, yes, it's the thinking, it's the aha, but it's not just about thinking fast. So intuition is fast, but it's not just the thinking. Do you think intuition is only spontaneous, or can it be deliberate? So is it only spontaneous? It just happens to you. No, it's not only. You can use intuition on cue. Actually, a lot of really, really smart people use intuition on cue all the time. And when I say smart people, I mean like Nobel laureates. So in interviews with Nobel laureates, all of them said that they resort to intuition. And they said, so what they said is they go between intuition and analysis. So they think about the problem, then they let go, and then they have an intuitive sense for how the problem will be resolved. And then they go back to analysis and they test out their intuition, and then they go back to the intuition and to test out what, you know, how they thought about it. So does intuition substitute, or can intuition substitute analysis? Yes, no, what do you think? Questionable? No, they do different things. It's like eating and making love. I don't know. It's like, it's completely different things. So intuition scholars and also intuition practitioners encourage using both. They're just different ways of getting information. So shall we experiment more so you can test out some of the things so it's not so abstract? I see. Yes. Okay. Okay. Before we experiment, do you want to ask any questions?
Can intuition cause fear, like a little bit of fear?
It can, but so can analysis. Like you can think about things and then you can say, oh my goodness, what's going on? And that can cause fear, but that's the next stage. Analysis, you get information through analysis, and intuition is intuition. You get information through sensing, and then fear could be a next thing or not at all. Or whatever.
I get anxious sometimes, like I get anxious and then I cool down with some kind of like herbal medicine that calms me down so I don't get frightened all the time if I have some kind of fear in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the first thing to understanding your intuition is getting to know your body. So if you're anxious, it could be because, like, let's say you have a test coming up, or you have an interview coming up, or because something, or because you know you have to perform something somewhere, right? So there is a reason for it you can analyze. Or it could be anxiety that just, it doesn't seem to be based on something that's going on in your life. And then you can start, scanning. Like, for example, and I told the story in one of my recent classes, my son and I were supposed to travel to Rome at the end of January. And I love Italy. I'm just like, give me Italy anytime. And finally we have this opportunity. He has a fencing tournament. So, you know, we were gonna go, and I just don't want to go. And I have this like almost panic attacks and this anxiety, which I don't usually get. I don't want to go to Rome. And my husband knows me enough to say, okay, let's sit down. Let's think about it calmly. Are you worried about the plane? No. Are you worried about this? So we went through a checklist. So it's not like, oh, okay, I have intuition about not going and I'm not going. It's not like that. But I've received information, which is this anxiety, which is not typical for the situation because I know my body and I know how my intuition works. So we went through the checklist. This is fine, this is fine, this is fine. So he said, I don't see a reason not to go. And I said, I understand. I don't see a reason not to go either. I feel I shouldn't go, but whatever. I'm a reasonable person. He's a reasonable person. I take my son, we get on the plane, we go. Nothing happens. You know, it was, unfortunately, it was the weekend where Kobe Bryant died in an accident. But like, so somebody's saying, oh, maybe that was that. I mean, I don't think so, but you know, okay. So we went there, we came back, nothing happened. So the question is, was intuition wrong? I don't think it was wrong, but it was just non-specific, because when we were in Rome at the end of January, half of Rome was full of tourists in masks. And I've never seen anything like this in Italy before. And, you know, my son was like, what's going on? I'm like, well, you know, that doesn't really concern us. And that's, you know, things are going on. But things could have ended very, very badly, because in Italy at the end of January, things were already happening. And in China at the end of January, things were already happening. So it's anxiety, but you have to learn to listen to your body to see kind of what it is saying and how it is, like what it is saying. So first, you use all of your senses. Okay, so the second, you learn to interpret what your senses are saying. So for example, when I meet a person who I know is not good for me, I just feel really, really cold. And I scan the environment. Well, am I wearing warm enough clothes? Is the room warm enough? Is this? And it doesn't mean that I walk away from a person right away, but I have learned that, okay, this is my body. This is the way my body tells me that something is off. Okay. So can you think of a way that your body tells you that something is really, really right or something is really, really wrong? So I don't know if that's something you want to share, if you just want to think for yourself, like what is the way your body talks to you?
Goosebumps.
Okay, let me see, I can put on speaker. You, who said goosebumps?
I said it.
Okay, all right. So it could be goosebumps, but how do you know? Like, can it be just like, how do you know if they're just goosebumps because of a temperature change or because it means something?
Yeah, I actually don't. I always had goosebumps, and I just recently started realizing, okay, they're probably telling me something. I just don't know how to read them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Excellent.
Okay, so first, good. So first you use your whole body as an instrument. You use your whole body as a compass, right? That's what intuition is about. And so if you get goosebumps, so you register. So first you start paying attention. So, okay, my body is doing this. And then listen and try to interpret, and it's going to be a lot of hit and miss. So try to interpret and document. Okay, I'm getting goosebumps, and then just dig deeper. Is it like a good kind of goosebumps, a bad kind of goosebumps? Does it make me want to approach this thing or the situation? Does it make me want to go back, right? And just document. And it doesn't mean, oh, okay, well, I get goosebumps, so I'm not going to go, or I get goosebumps, so I go. But it just, okay, I get goosebumps, and it makes me want to stay away. Document. Then you can analyze, right? So intuition doesn't substitute analysis, so analyze and then decide what you want to do, follow intuition or follow analysis. Then let's say you decide to do it anyway, and then document afterwards. I went there anyway, and this is how things played out, right? And so you've got to train your intuition much like you train your vision, because sometimes, I mean, how do you know if your vision is reliable? Like for those of you who wear contacts or glasses, how did you find out that you need contacts or glasses? Like for a long time, you don't even know, because things just look normal, and then, you know, and then somebody tells you, hey, you know, you can't see it. Really? You don't see them? Like, no, oh, okay. And so you figure out how to train your vision, how to work with your vision. When you look in the rear view mirror, right, you know that things are not exactly as they appear, right? When you look at the optical illusion, you know that. So basically you train your eyes, you train your ears, you train your taste buds, right? So when you cook, so you learn to sense the difference and document. Okay, so so use all of your senses, learn to interpret by trial and error, document, use your attention wisely. So for example, when you intuit, you want to put your attention on what you want rather than on what you don't want, because whatever your attention is on, that's where you're going to go. It's like on the road, you know, if you're driving, if you're looking at an accident, the next thing you know, you're in that accident. So what you want to do is, if there is a problem on the road, you look for a clearing, right? So if there is a traffic jam, if there is an accident, you look for a clearing on the road. So the same thing. I would like for you to think about the situation that you wrote for yourself, like either the challenge that you want to see resolved or the something that you want to see in your life. So place your attention on the clearing. Like, what feels good about the situation? What feels right? What makes you want to approach? Like, how can you put your body at ease with that situation? Because, for example, I had a client who said, oh, I want such and such a job. She just wanted the promotion. I really want it. I was working for it my whole life. And I see, like, I was watching her and she's really tense. I'm like, well, okay, embody this promotion with all of your senses. And she did, and she would be sitting like this. And like, she wasn't at ease with it. So I said, okay, what's wrong? It's like, well, you know, it makes me really stressed out. I said, okay, so look for the clearing. Look for, how do you want it to be? Okay, I want this promotion, but with fewer hours, for example. Okay, so now you're starting to kind of chart your path. Let me give you another example. One of my kids asked, well, how do I know what I want to be when I grow up? Because I have no clue. I said, it's not true that you have no clue. Like, for example, if I give you a job of like painting walls, how does it feel to you? He's like, so. And I'm like, okay, give me another example. And he said, well, what about a chef? I'm like, okay, well, so this is what the job of a chef looks like. And then he embodies it and he's like, I'm like, okay, so what if I gave you a choice between negotiating a deal or building something like some piece of whatever, something, machinery? And he's like, oh, I would definitely go build something. Okay, so that's your, like, you don't even have to think about it. That's your body kind of saying, this is where I want to be, right? So, indwelling. Indwelling is, let me tell you this one last point, and then I would like to take questions, because I feel like I'm going on my own, like on my own little trip in my head about intuition, but I'd like to hear more from you. So when you think about that situation that you'd like to see resolved in your life, or you'd like to materialize in your life, sit with it for a minute as if you would sit with a work of art. Okay, so you don't have to resolve a work of art. You don't have to do anything about it. Or if you're listening to music, right? You don't need to do anything about it, but you just let it be, and you allow it to wash over you, and you just feel it, right? So what I would like for you to do, take this situation, take this, the thing, the wish that you wrote for yourself, and I would like for you to sit with it and experience it with all your senses. Does it feel comfortable for you? Like, if you have it, does it feel comfortable? Just say this or that, or it's not quite. Okay, I know for a lot of people, when they take that new wish, it doesn't feel comfortable, because if it was completely comfortable, you would have already had it. You would have known how to behave in it. You would have known how to reach it. And it's like, oh yeah, this is totally my thing. So sometimes it's not quite comfortable. So how can you approximate, like, what would make you ease into this new reality? It's like, okay, yeah, this job feels really great, but it's in California. I don't want to move to California, right? So, okay, so can you pull it closer to where you are? You know, so experience it with all of your senses and indwell with it as if it's a piece of art or a piece of music. I would like to pause, and I would like to see, I see a couple of ideas. Okay, techniques.
So we had a question from Marina. I think she's, Marina, you ask yourself?
Okay, so let's do the questions.
I had a question. Is there other techniques that you can train your intuition? I'm sure you're gonna get to that probably, but
yeah, no, but that's okay. So I think what happens during intuition development classes, people expect almost some, like, miracles, like some magical, some like something unexpected, something like, oh wow, you know, this is like the psychic something. And training intuition is very down to earth. Like, it's not this gift that, you know, we get from our great grandmothers and, you know, now we are anointed into being intuitive. It's not like that. We're all intuitive. So the technique is being attuned. So if you want, like, we can do a quick exercise. I'm going to throw a couple of things at you, just not literally, but just throw ideas. And I would like for you to experience them on your body or in your body. And that's because, like, okay, if you open the fridge, right, you kind of scan the fridge, and you know, some things look more appealing, some things they feel like, it's not like, oh, chocolate, great. Like, it's not just that. Sometimes it's weird things like the beans. Oh, I want the beans. I don't know why. Or sometimes it's like, you know, some things with yogurt, I should have yogurt, but your stomach is going to, yeah. So let's start by, so you always start by your baseline normal. Okay, so again, notice what it feels like to be you in the space where you're now. Okay, just notice how your stomach feels, notice where your brain is, notice how comfortable you are. Okay, so this is your baseline normal. Okay, and okay, so some of this is going to be more pleasant, some of this is going to be less pleasant. Okay, so I'm going to take an apple and put it in your space. So I would like for you to do, what I'd like for you to do is take this in, indwell with the apple, and see if there is a difference between your baseline normal and now you with an apple. And maybe for some of you, it's like, it's not nothing. Okay, apple doesn't do anything. I know one of my kids is allergic to apples. Crazy. So I know he would, like, if I say apple, he would go like, you know, he would tighten. You know, so notice the difference. Okay, drop the apple, forget the apple, let go of the apple. Okay, so I'm going to take a spider. I'm going to put it in your personal space. And just notice how it feels. You don't need to be afraid because there is nothing, it's nothing real. But when you were without a spider and now you're with a spider, can you sense the difference? Okay, done with the spider, goodbye. Okay, so, and remember how I told you, focus your attention on what you want. So if I say, don't think about the spider, everybody's still on the spider. So think of somebody you love and you adore. And that's the best way to switch your attention. Like, think of what you want to think about. So take this person you love and adore, not the person whom you should love and adore because you are in particular roles, but just one person. You don't have to tell anybody who that person is. Just put that person in your space now, like, indwell with this person. And notice the difference between how you were before without this person and now you're in the space with this person. Can you notice, do you feel the shifts that are happening? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, and I know if you're an analytical thinker, this is a difficult thing to do because we're used to thinking, we're used to basing our decisions and our everything on, you know, analyzing how the situation is. But some things you simply cannot. You have to feel them through. For example, if you're buying a house, yes, it's important that the house costs the right amount and it's in the right neighborhood. And it is also important how you feel in that house. Or if you are falling in love with somebody, yes, it is important that, you know, some, I don't know, check marks, whatever you have, but it's important how you feel with this person. And some things, or a job, it could be a perfect job, you know, and the right responsibilities and the right office and the right salary, and you come and you just don't want to go, and you just have like this beast inside of you that's like saying, yeah, you know. So techniques. So the most important thing is start by learning to pay attention to your body and learn what your body says and how it says it. Okay, and then the second thing is document. So for that thing that you want to happen, start with your baseline normal. Okay, and then I'm going to ask you a question about your wish. Okay, and what I would like for you to do is indwell with that question, sit with that question, put your attention on the question, and allow information to come to you. And it's not going to be information where you, okay, this is the recording and this is the radio voice and this is how it goes. Although sometimes it does come like that as well, but just notice how things feel. So who can help you with this? And I don't want you to think, but I want you to simply observe as if that information is already coming to you. So if I ask you, who can help you with this? Just jot down some notes. What comes to you? What kind of sensation? Are you in this alone? And you know what it feels like when you're alone. You know what it feels like when you're in a crowd. You know what it feels like when you're with a business partner. You know what it feels like when you're with a lover, you know? So what does your body tell you? If I ask you, who can help you with this? What are you sensing? Does the question make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to ask any questions about what I just said?
So if you feel anxiety, does that mean you're just afraid, or you feel alone, or is it intuition?
Okay, so anxiety in itself doesn't mean anything. It's like if you tell me, oh, I saw a moon in my dream, it doesn't mean anything by itself,
in regards
right?
to your question, in regards to your question, I felt anxiety and I felt like I'm alone. I have no one to help me with, right?
Okay,
Directly.
so this is anxiety where you feel alone, right? So you know before that from your baseline normal you weren't anxious, and when I say who can help you,
Right.
and so the fact that you feel alone in this, that makes you anxious. So that's information, and the information, the way I would interpret it is you need support, right? So whom can you bring in to support you? Or, for example, don't go until the support is there, right? Don't go until the right time, like the troops have, you have the backup. So this is a little bit off balance. So how can you make it more balanced? So if you feel anxiety, what would pacify your anxiety? Like what would need to happen? Can you tell
I
me?
understand where you're going with it. I don't know, but I understand.
Okay, so I don't think you can think it through, but you can feel it. You can feel it. Like what would make you less anxious? Like,
Right.
okay, maybe if I wait, and maybe if the temperature is warmer and nicer, it would be easier to do it myself. Or maybe if I call, and like, it's just information. Intuition is just information. That's okay. Svetlana, did you want to say something?
Usually when I'm like have like some kind of anxiety, I do a little bit of meditation to calm me down, and that helps relieve the stress and everything.
Good. So if that works for you, that's really amazing. I haven't been able to do that, which is, it is what it is. Maybe one day I will learn. What I'm learning is bodyfulness, and I know a lot of people now talk about mindfulness, and what I'm learning is bodyfulness. It's not just, you're just not just in your mind, but you experience your body as it is in the present. And the thing is, you can put your body somewhere else in time or somewhere else in space, and you can experiment with this. So for example, you know what it's like to feel you right now, to be you, baseline normal, right? What
Right.
I'd like for you to do is place your, and it sounds like magic, but it's really not, because we have these capacities to use our senses in different ways. So place yourself and place your body, let's say, half a year forward in time. So what's half a year? Like sometime mid-October-ish, right? So I want to say imagine, but I don't mean imagine, but embody being mid-October-ish. How do you feel? Do you feel wiser? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel like and it might be, what you might be getting, it might be wordless. It might be just a sense that you can't quite, because for example, you can express in art things that you can't express in words, and your body can express things to you that is not in words. So feel yourself in October, and just notice the difference. And you might not know what it means quite yet, but you know it's different. And then come back, you know? And so that's a technique, learning to sense the difference and documenting. You know what, let's do a quick experiment. I have a question written down. It's my question. It's a yes or no question, but it will require more information than yes or no. Okay, so we're going to do a quick, it's not really a psychic experiment because it's not psychic, it's not magical energy, it's just our natural abilities. So when you do a reading, when you do a check-in with your intuition, you start with your baseline normal, right? So notice what it's like to be you in your space without my question in it. Okay, so now I have a question. I'm not going to tell you what that question is, but just like I put an apple in your space or a spider or the person you love, I'm going to take this question, okay? And now I'm going to put it in your space as if I already asked you that question, okay? I would like for you to notice what it does to your body. When you're sitting with my question, how does it change you? How does it change your baseline? And based on what you're experiencing, I would like for you to tell me yes, I would like for you, or no, and why not, or why yes. Like, what is it that you're experiencing? So is anybody brave enough to kind of...
For me, it was a very obvious no.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a very obvious, and I felt, I don't know, like the kind of that feeling where, like when I was a kid, I took a lifeguarding course and we had to jump in at 9 o'clock in the morning into a cold pool. Like that's the feeling that I got, that it's like, no, like God, no.
Okay. And it's interesting what Lily said, like she didn't say, well, I'm guessing. So intuition is not guessing, because guessing is like 50-50. Intuition is more right than guessing. Intuition is more certain than guessing. And intuition feels like it's based on something. She didn't just randomly throw, oh, no. You know, she said, it feels like, and she just got this like flashback, right? Or almost like I don't know if it's a flashback or a metaphor, and intuition often speaks in metaphors because metaphors is something that you're already familiar with and you know what they mean, and you meet something new and you get this like flashback or like a metaphor to something you already know. It's like, it's information. It's just useful information. Okay, so thank you. Anybody else wants to experiment? With the same question. So what was your sense? I would love to
get a no too.
Okay, so tell me more. How did you know it was a no? Because you were just sitting on your couch, right? You were just feeling normal. And then I put a question in your space. What's a no?
I just felt sort of like chills. I don't know, like it didn't feel right. Like, you know, like when something doesn't feel right, that's how I can explain it. Like a feeling of like, you know, whether you want something or you don't want something, and it felt like I didn't want it. So no.
Okay. Is there any way to make it better? Like what would make it better in your body? And right now you're not
like,
making psychic prediction. You're just using your body as an instrument.
Yeah,
so
like
what
if
does your body say?
like, you know, just feeling the way I did before, or you know, just feeling lighter, like there was like a heaviness, or yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's do one more maybe.
Okay.
So anybody else? What did you feel? A yes or no? What was then, okay, if you don't want to say yes or no, can somebody else maybe share, what is the sensation? Alia, I screwed up. I was supposed to remind you to record. We didn't record. Oh, thank you for being on top of things. But it's okay, we're not, okay. Sidebar. So if you didn't get a clear yes or no, can somebody tell me, okay, I got nothing, or I got something, but I don't know how to interpret it?
I got nothing.
Okay. So
I got nothing either.
Okay. So nothing is really very rarely nothing, because we don't feel the same and uniform, and we don't go through the day like this. So it's always something. It's just learning to sense the difference. So let's try again, maybe with Svetlana and with Marina, and I don't know if somebody else, if you got nothing, let's try again. Maybe let's try a little bit different. Well, I don't know if it's going to be different, not different. So just be yourself. No pressure. Just, okay, you know what it's like to be you in your room and just to sit there. right? So you just know this. And now imagine if we're having a casual conversation and I'm asking you for your opinion. Hey, what do you think? And I know it sounds insane because, well, if you start thinking about it, you don't know what the question is, how are you supposed to think? Okay, so after you're done with going through that process, just feel your body. Like, did when I ask you this question, did your body relax into this question and ease into the question? Or did your body tense up and like, hey, don't do that to me? Just don't tell me about the question, but tell me about your body. Tell me about your reaction, your sensation, if you can. Nothing. Okay. Okay.
I'm just picking up your mood and the way you're talking. You're making me feel at ease. That's it.
Okay. Okay. So it just takes experimenting, and I can tell. Okay. Does anybody else? Last call. If anybody else wants to chime in, and then I can tell you what the question was.
I had like for me, I just had a thought. Go for it. It was.
Change your mind.
You know, it was just like I still had the same feeling of like really you know, the same jumping into the cold water, but I had a very clear thought of go for it.
So. Okay. Actually, remind me if I forget what to do if there is a conflict between your intuition and analysis, and whether intuition can really be trusted. Okay, so here's the question. The question was, will public gatherings be allowed for the time of our son's 9th birthday, which is June 16th? So you didn't know this, but this is the question, and this is a good way to document. So you know what my question made you feel, or like if it's nothing, you can try with other people. Have them write down questions. What does the stock market do on June 1st of 2021? Well, this is too far, 2021, but like pick something closer. What's the price of gold going to do on such and such date? Or like something that you can quickly and easily check moving forward, right? So right now, if you want to write it down, June 16th, and we live in New Jersey, so you can check, will public gatherings be allowed? And once you check these enough, you will know what your body tells you and how it tells you that. So the question, so 2 questions I want to make sure I answer. What if there is a conflict between your intuition and your analysis of the situation, right? So you analyze, okay, we should buy this house, it's a good deal, it's in the right neighborhood, and you don't feel good about it. Or you're really in love and you want to go for it, but you think about it, I really shouldn't because all these reasons, right? So nothing, not analysis and not intuition will tell you what to do. Nothing. You still have to make a decision. So you can use it as an excuse. Oh, my intuition told me to do this, and then do this. But honestly, that it's still your choice. So for example, in one of the recent classes, I was teaching, we were doing blind questions, right? And so my intuitive reading for the question was, the situation feels like a tantrum of a 3-year-old, and you should just leave the 3-year-old be. It's temporary, step aside. Once the tantrum is over, then you can approach and you can move on with your life, right? And then the person said, but I don't understand, what was what was this about? And I said, well, what was your question? And her question was a couple of months ago, should I travel to Europe, right? So at that time I said, listen, I'm a reasonable person, I just traveled to Europe. If you're asking me analytically, I would say, maybe you should, maybe it's okay. If you ask me intuitively without knowing your question, my intuition clearly said, no, this is a tantrum, this is temporary, leave it aside, don't touch it, come back to it. So intuition is just information. So the question is, when can you trust your intuition? Curious? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. And if you think I'm going to give you a clear-cut answer, I'm not going to, because nobody really knows. So one thing that what the researchers know is intuition is very closely tied to expertise. So for example, if you're having intuition in your area of expertise, there is a good chance that it's good intuition. And you can observe this now among the medical professionals, a lot of them are saying we're dealing with a complete unknown. The situation, it's not just uncertainty, it's just unknown. And we are used to making decisions based on facts and based on charts and based on research. And right now there's no data, but my gut feeling tells me to do this. But it's not just like, does something from the sky comes down. It's based on their experience. The tricky question is, experience is a very broad thing, because your experience is not just your professional experience. So for example, if you're a doctor, you're not just bringing your medical experience to the situation. You're also bringing experience with your children, with your parents, from having lived a life, right? It's also experience. So if you have lived a full life, then your intuition, even in a particular field, may be good and useful intuition. What I would recommend is, don't discard intuition as nothing. It's not nothing. And also, I don't want to say but, because when you say but, you cross out everything you said before. I love you, but. And also look at other sources of information. Okay, so if you can supplement, especially in the beginning, if you can supplement with analysis, do it. Trust your intuition where how you feel is important, where it's not just the numbers, but how you're going to feel in the situation. You're going to live with this house, you're going to live with this person, you're going to live with whatever it is. If it's important how you feel, trust your intuition. At the very least, record it and then see how things played out. You'll make a few mistakes, but eventually you'll know when your intuition is trustworthy, when it's not. Let me pause for a minute and see if you have questions, or what questions you have.
I'm a volunteer with little kids, and my intuition is to help little kids and learn with them. But it's hard sometimes when they're like where like the teachers are telling you what to do and you forget, and then you're like out of your mind for one time, and then you're like, yeah, I get it.
I think when it comes to kids, it's just tricky. So there are two places I don't venture into: parenting and love. I mean, I can, if a client comes to me, I can say, from this point, like from where I'm standing, if you go this way, it looks like this. If you go that way, it looks like that. But never, okay, this is what you should do, and with kids, I don't know, I leave this to the experts, so like I wouldn't practice medicine without a license. I don't make medical predictions. Like with kids also it's tricky. With your own kids, it's very, very different. Like for example, I always have a feeling, at least, well, not, okay, I shouldn't say always, but often, a day before anybody's sick, before anybody's showing any symptoms or anything, I just have this feeling, and it's a particular type of anxiety. I think, Marina, you were talking about anxiety. It's a particular type of anxiety, and I go through the checklist. Why am I anxious? Okay, did I get enough sleep? Is my sugar high enough? Whatever. Okay, so there are no reasons. Nothing is going wrong. Okay, so this is a kid's type of anxiety, and I can, like, it's a particular type of anxiety when one of them is getting sick, and I touch all of their foreheads, they're fine, and the next day, like sometimes I can tell which one, with intuition, but it just takes practice. So it's.
I have a question about that, because what often happens with me is that my kids are fine and everybody's fine, and then I get this thought, oh, nobody has been sick for a while, or like something like that, and then of course few days later somebody gets sick. What is that?
I would say document, so that you would know, so that you would at least pay attention.
No, it's very like I've done, like it's consistent.
Okay, so it's, you have a feeling and then you talk yourself out of it. Is that?
I don't have a feeling that they're gonna get sick. It's a thought. It's not a thought. Oh my God, they're gonna get sick. I'm not scared for that. But it's like, oh, everybody's been well, and like we really haven't been sick in a long time. And then boom.
I see. So you're talking about the kind of like glass, right?
Something like that.
So what's the English equivalent? Like if somebody, if you can, it's not like a curse, but like somebody can put a curse on you, or if you can jinx. Yes, that's the right word.
And I'm trying to think, did I create that? Did I, you know what I mean? Like, well, like what happens?
Okay, you know what? This is excellent because this is one of the questions, like one of the myths about intuition that I wrote down that I should definitely cover. So one is this one, and another one is, can intuition be used to predict the future? So those are two questions that I wanted to cover that we didn't. So this is my personal opinion, but from what I've seen, from what I've studied, the energy, it's not good or bad. You can't jinx yourself. You can't. Nobody can put a curse on you. No, like. It's like fire. Fire is not good or bad. Like water is not good or bad. It's like everything is energy, and energy is, right? So if you thought nobody has been sick for a long time, it's not that now, okay, now you will jinx yourself and you create something bad, but your attention, something may have caught your attention, that something may have been off, but you didn't register it as being off, but maybe by the time your sensation came to your mind and to your sense making, it showed up like this. Oh, you know, everybody has been well for a long time, but it may not have translated. You know what I mean? Like, for example, before this whole thing started, I didn't see, oh my goodness, you know, it's going to be total quarantine, but I did have this like, oh, I didn't buy toilet paper for a long time. And it's not that we needed it, we didn't really need it, but I like, you know what, I'm in BJ's, I might as well buy toilet paper. And I bought toilet paper. And 2 days later, there was no toilet paper. Anyway, so it's like that, it's information. So nobody can really jinx you or curse you because you are in charge of your own energy. What they think about you and what they want to put on you, what other people create for you or about you in their heads, that's their business. They live with that energy. Your energy is when you know how we talked about baseline normal? Let's talk about target normal. How would you want to be in this world? And if you just sit for a minute and imagine and embody where everything is well with you, where everything is going right for you, and where you're okay and you're safe and you're in your body fully, and if you can feel this with all of your senses, it's like turning on your light inside. So when you have that, it's, if you practice it enough, you can turn it on and off like this, like just on cue. You know, I want to turn my light on, and you just turn it on, and it's like that sense with all of your senses, like I'm okay and I'm peaceful, and it's like the light, and it's almost like emanating from you. But that's a metaphor, it's not like literally, but it's, and that's your best protection, that's your best grounding from any jinxing, from anything, from anybody's, whoever looked at you the wrong way. You know, you are in your own body, you're in charge of your own energy. I'm not sure if it's exactly.
It's not because,
answering.
I mean, I don't know if I believe in the whole jinx thing. I mean, you are in control, and that's like putting yourself out there. That's not what I was asking. But now that you're talking, it makes me think maybe that is my intuition saying, okay, somebody's going to get sick, you know, do something about it. You know what I mean? Maybe it doesn't necessarily say in that way. For me, it's like, oh, nobody's gotten sick. So maybe that is my cue. If I have that thought, go up some vitamin C or whatever and do something to...
That
okay.
I agree with. It's so the cue is pay attention,
Right.
and you've got to learn how your intuition speaks to you. So if it's like that, oh, you know, so it's not a jinx, but it's your attention all of a sudden went to something that was going smoothly and going well, and it shouldn't have demanded your attention, but your attention went there. So maybe that's one of the languages that your intuition speaks. And I know I'm watching the time. I know that this is our time, and we should probably, I mean, Ala, how do you want? I'm happy to stay over if people have questions.
I ask you something?
Let's take a couple more questions.
Yes, great. Thank you.
To follow up.
Stella.
I don't know if, do you remember me? I don't know if this lady meant it, but it kind of made me think, her question made me think about like the secret and what you think becomes true. And I think that question could be asked, well, if I think nobody has been sick, or like, did I create the sickness with my thoughts, because thoughts materialize, and doesn't intuition have anything to do with that? And, you know, what do you think about that?
So I'm trying to separate like where it's my opinion, where it's my belief, or where it's what science knows, you know, what science knows. So I think that it's more about attention. Whatever you place your attention on, that's what you see more of. That's where so the world is happy to provide you whatever you attend to. Like, for example, if you say, you know, the world is just a horrible place and just so many bad things happen, you turn on the news and you just see all these horrible things, because that's how our brain works. We see what we know, right? If you say, you know what, despite everything, the world is a beautiful place, that's where your attention is on, and that's what you see more of, and the world confirms your bias in a way. So I think what we can do is we can choose our biases, we can choose our perspective, we can choose what we want to see. So if things are going badly, what you can say is, what is it that I want to see? What is it that I want to make happen? What would I like to see more of in the world? And then place your attention there. So I think it's only one half of it is true, that when you put your attention on something, you see more of it, but it's not like, oh, I created this sickness because I'm bad or because I'm thinking bad thoughts. It's not that. It's everything is, it's like Rubik's Cube, you know, all sides are always there at the same time, but you can turn it as you see, and it's not like you're in denial that there are other sides with other colors, but it just, you know, this is what pleases you and this is what you want to look at.
All right.
Sort of
It makes sense. Maybe it's both, like the intuition, you didn't know that it was your intuition, but also fake. Choosing where you put your attention. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Because intuition is it's just simply a way of getting information. And in terms of predictions, because I know a lot of people ask, oh, you know, why couldn't people predict this or predict that? People do predict this and predict that, but it's like the Cassandra effect. Like, if somebody came to you in December and said, you know, this is going to happen and it will look like this, if you're a reasonable analytical person, you'll probably say, you know, you're crazy. There are probably some analytical thinkers like economists or whatever, or epidemiologists who said, you know what, this is coming. And it's also like Cassandra effect, like nobody was really listening. So it's not useful to be able to predict these big global things. What's useful is if you have an impulse to go and buy toilet paper, just go and buy toilet paper. Like, that's useful. I think intuition should just be useful and practical, and it's all about your body as an instrument. Okay, let's do maybe more questions if we have time. Maybe
for me, I'm a high schooler. I cannot predict about this virus yet, and I'm still thinking, like, when is this gonna end? Like in my mind, like, is it gonna end soon? Like when I hear the news about this virus, it's like concern me all the time. Like, why we're getting some more deaths, and like, why did this started? And like in my mind, like, I'm getting worried myself. Like, I'm worried to get sick from like sometimes you cannot predict your sickness. You might get the symptoms sometimes, but it, like, if you really got the symptoms, like, what I think, like, it should not be so bad. It should get better.
I think the idea is, if you worry about the world problems, it's just not helpful. And I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't care, but I'm just saying it's not helpful. What would be helpful is, for example, for you to say, I am healthy, I'm staying healthy. And this is not the, you know, positive, okay, I'm getting prettier and prettier and taller every day. It's not that. But let's just say, if I want to get to the place where I am healthy, okay, world, bring me what you've got. And then you start listening, like people who are healthy, maybe they do this, maybe that. Like, choose your target, because if you choose your target as, oh my goodness, when is this going to end, then you will see more things about how things are not ending, versus I'm healthy, and then that's useful, relevant information. Okay, one more, should we do? And if you have questions anytime after this, you can always find me. I'm at alinabas.com. So feel free, or just PM me on Facebook or whatever. Send me your questions. I love questions. I love tough questions. I love the skeptics questions and the analytical thinkers questions. I love the I'm not getting anything questions. So
I love, for me, I like to get any questions and understand stuff and like repeat the question, and I try to answer, and then I'm like, I think I got the question right, but then sometimes you're like, I don't understand, like, and then you email your teacher again, and then you ask her so many other questions about this.
Go for it. I will answer. I'm the only one who reads my emails, so I'll answer all of your questions. So thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for engaging in the discussion. Thank you for asking questions and having your intuition guide you. And for more events by COJECO, if you don't yet, follow us on Facebook, sign up for our newsletter, and follow us on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alina.
Have a good night, and
you.
everyone, please stay healthy, and we will see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you very much, Alina.